Welcome into the best day on the summer hockey calendar. It is free agent frenzy, and welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Greg Boysen. Law is here. Steven's hanging around. We got all sorts of stuff going on. Free agency doesn't begin for another half hour, and we already have two, potentially three Blackhawks signings to discuss before it even becomes officially open for business. Before we give you all the details there and talk about some of the other stuff going on around the league, do us a favor, go ahead and smash that like button for us. We would appreciate that. Also, subscribe to our YouTube page. That would be great as well. Podcast listeners, follow, rate, review, all that great stuff. All right, here's what we got so far. If you're listening to recording, it's 10:32 a.m. Free agency opens in 27 minutes because it just turned to 10:33. And the Hawks have already made two, potentially three signings. First, Tyler Bertuzzi signs for a 4-year deal, $5.5 million cap hit. Teuvo Teravainen, 3 years, $5.4 million. And our pal Bob McKenzie, my hockey hero, in the way he does, is hinting very strongly towards a 1-year deal for defenseman Alec Martinez. So we don't have the terms on that one yet. But here we are, 27 minutes out, and we already have three big signings to discuss. We should mention as well, Ben Gaudreau, who was on the roster invite for development camp, did sign a deal with the Rockford IceHogs today, so he will have a strictly AHL deal, so that one counts too.
Yeah, that Ben Gaudreau, former third-round pick of the San Jose Sharks, but never signed, might be your Jackson Stauber replacement in Rockford.
Yeah.
We'll see. Interesting morning.
Yeah, that's a lot going on. I feel like we just got back. We did. We landed
just get back.
We landed 11:30 last night.
I didn't get home in my house until almost 1:30 in the morning.
I heard the baggage was problematic.
Baggage claim was
Jay was sleeping by the time we got back.
Jay was home and in bed by the time I even got to my car. So yeah, and then right back in the Chicago traffic this morning. Kyle Davidson said he was going to make this team better. This team is better.
It's certainly better.
Certainly better.
It's certainly better.
I'm not the biggest Tyler Bertuzzi guy. I've said that many times. You said yesterday while we were hanging out in our Airbnb, getting ready to go to the airport, you were just like, man, Tyler Bertuzzi just makes so much sense for the Hawks. I was like, you shut your mouth.
It does. It makes a ton of sense for the Hawks.
This is the exact same feeling when the Blackhawks signed Max Domi. I think we're all kind of like,
yeah,
all right.
Well,
and then we warmed up to him. He turned out to be an effective player. So I'm going to go into the Tyler Bertuzzi era of Blackhawks hockey with an open mind. He does make your team better.
Yes.
He does do things that no one else on this lineup could do. He'll go to the corners. He'll play hard. He'll get to the front of the net.
Yep.
He does have some. He's bigger than I thought he was.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem like a big guy, but he's 6'1". He had a 30-goal season with Detroit. He surprisingly doesn't take a lot of penalty minutes.
Yeah, for a guy who plays the way he does and agitates the way he does.
Bertuzzi,
yeah, right.
He had his career high in penalty minutes last year at 53. That's not a ton.
Not at all.
We'll see what happens when he gets here, but he's a guy that can protect Bedard, a guy that will go in there and
mix it up.
Yeah. So, the fan base is going to love him. The majority of the fan base is going to love him. This fan base loved Daniel Carcillo.
Yeah.
He's going to be
He's a way better player than Daniel Carcillo.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Daniel Carcillo could have been a much better player than he was. He had talent.
Yeah. Well, Wayne Gretzky said he could be a 30-goal scorer someday. I think he had talent too.
He was very fast. He had some talent, but he chose a different path.
Yeah.
Tyler kind of in that same mold, but definitely can score. He'll probably be top 6 this year.
Oh, definitely. Unless there's some massive superstar signing we're not expecting.
I think Bertuzzi is best fit in a third line role.
On a cup contender, yes.
So if he's still top 6 beyond this season or even the second half of the contract, if he's still playing in your first or second line, it's either one of the greatest signings in NHL history
yeah,
or there's been some stunted development.
Well, here's what I like about Bertuzzi. I'm looking here at his NHL Edge page. Shots on goal. He had 160 shots on goal. 67 of them, actually, 79 of them came from the crease or right near the crease. His goals, he scored, I got to do the math here, 17, 18, 19. He had 20 goals. 17 of them came from right in front of the net. That's where you want your action happening. And I think something about Tyler Bertuzzi's game, by the way, as we show on your screen here, the player card from J Fresh Hockey, a better playmaker than he gets credit for. You know, it's a guy who can distribute the puck a little bit as well. And you mentioned going into the corners, winning those board battles, digging pucks out, and then getting them in front effectively. This is a guy who, if he's on a line with Connor Bedard, is going to open up space for him. He's going to create time for him. Bertuzzi's a guy you have to be aware of on the ice. You mentioned it. 30 goals a couple years ago with more opportunity on the ice. He's going to get power play time in Chicago, probably being that net front presence for the Hawks. I look, just like Max Domi, I think there is a predisposition on Bertuzzi where people look at him and like, oh, well, this is a guy who can't seem to stick on teams, and it's a guy who there's been some questionable on-ice behavior, and then we went through the whole thing where he was the singular player in the NHL to not get vaccinated against COVID, and I'm not making this a COVID thing. I'm not doing that. That's not what the discussion's about, but he's the one guy in the league who didn't do that, and that turned some, it raised some eyebrows.
Right. That
in the ultimate team sport, that he was the one guy that wouldn't do the thing to protect his team. But it seems like those concerns are, I don't know, not as big as they probably seemed at the time. I don't know. I like this a lot. I hope it is Max Domi-esque where we get to learn the player better, see him on a nightly basis and say, okay, this guy was a little better than we gave him credit for, and probably a better guy than we gave him credit for.
Yeah, I have a lot of Bertuzzi PTSD.
Yeah, it carries a lot. I mean, that name carries a lot with it.
Yeah, if you were of our age group, I know there's a lot of younger fans in our chat, a lot of younger fans in the fan base, but if you grew up watching hockey in the 90s and early 2000s, you probably hated Todd Bertuzzi, who's his uncle.
Yes.
For many reasons. The dude was a dirty player. Dude was that guy that you just, hated on your team, hated when your team had to play him. And then I was covering the AHL when Tyler Bertuzzi was playing for the Grand Rapids Griffins, and he was suspended down there multiple times. I remember one time for a pretty nasty slew foot. So he's got elements of that, but for the most part at the NHL level, he's kept that in check. And that's what the Hawks are going to need. Keep them, stay out of the penalty box, score those goals. He scores a lot of his goals, redirects, getting to the nets, tip-ins, rebounds. That's what they need. They didn't have anybody like that for the majority of the last year. And this had to be. I'm not saying Nick Foligno called Kyle Davidson and get me Tyler Bertuzzi.
They're close,
but this had to be a conversation.
Yes,
Kyle. I'm going to guess Kyle probably said, "Hey Nick, looking at Tyler Bertuzzi, what do you think?" And I'm sure Nick Foligno was like, "Please."
Yeah,
that's the guy that he was talking about. Tyler Bertuzzi will play up and down the lineup.
Yep.
He will accept the role. Will he do things that will make you just get frustrated over the course of the season? Of course he will.
Like Max Domi?
Right. But he brings an element to this team that was they were sorely, sorely missing.
By the way, good playoff performer, too. He's played 14 playoff games, 14 points, had a really good season in the playoffs in 2022-23 with the Bruins, and there are 7 games where they lost to the Maple Leafs. He had 5 goals and 5 assists. It was kind of a surprise after, as well as he showed with Boston, that he didn't come back, but that's where he played with Foligno, and they had their time together. And if Foligno checks off on him, I'm down. I think Nick Foligno has shown in his time here, that he's got a pretty good read on the character of other players. And if he signs off on Bertuzzi, then I'll sign off on it as well. We're going to get to Teuvo Teravainen here in a second. I am seeing reports that Steven Stamkos is a Nashville Predator.
That took a lot of there was a lot of buzz to that. And
Jonathan Marchessault.
Oof. I thought, Marchessault to the Devils was picking up a lot of steam this morning.
Yeah. So here's Pierre LeBrun. We'll see where it ends up officially, but word is Steven Stamkos' deal with the Predators should end up being around 4 years, $8 million. Okay? And LeBrun also says that the Predators can finalize things with Marchessault. Hearing his deal will be 5 years, around $5.5 million. So there's your deals for Nashville, who now that Barry Trotz, my guy, the rectangular one, is in charge, they're playing like big boys.
Also saying they could end up with Brady Shea.
Good for that. Hey, you know what? You want to see teams like that as much as we loathe the Preds, and it's not even the team as much as their fans. It's good to see teams like that going after it, and like it's good for the league to have star players and not everyone's going to the Rangers or the Leafs or, in fairness, as much as we would love it, the Hawks. Some of these other teams are getting good players, like Utah making moves, looking like a good team. Now it's unfortunate that Utah and Nashville, two of the Hawks division contenders, division opponents, are making some of the bigger moves.
Utah won't be in the division forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get really good when you move out of the division. Yeah, I mean, Nashville was a playoff team last year, but traditionally, like almost since day one, they've lacked goal-scoring pop. They've lacked that star player. Yeah, they've had Philip Forsberg.
He's a B-tier star. Great player. Don't get me wrong. He's not a ticket seller.
No, and he's not that elite guy. He's not a McDavid, a Matthews, a Draisaitl,
right.
a Bedard. He's not that guy. He's the guy he's the Robin to that Batman.
Yes.
Really good player. But they never had a second option. Even when Forsberg was scoring 30 goals, having really good seasons, there was no one else available. So now they still have Forsberg. They bring in Stamkos, Marchessault. It's a pretty good team.
Pretty good. We are in the break zone. People are asking about Sam Lafferty. Sam Lafferty did choose to explore free agency. It doesn't mean that the Hawks won't bring him back. He did enjoy his time here, but said, we've talked since the trade went down a couple days ago. Let me just see what's out there for myself, and hopefully he'll visit back with the Hawks and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Can you guys match this or beat this? And they say yes and make it happen.
Right.
We'll find out. We'll keep an eye on that throughout the day. But we want to tell you about our friends at Circa Sportsbook. We were just there the other day. That was awesome. Circa Swim. Look at those giant screens. And, man, it was super accommodating, super nice of our friends at Circa to take care of us for night one of our draft coverage. And if you want to play some bets on the app, you can do it. Why? They've got those tight money line splits, the low hold model. Their games strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use 115 or -120 splits. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets. Those are your futures, your golf tournaments, things like that, especially when compared to other books. They've got high app limits. Circa Sports is not going to limit you based on your winnings. If you're good, you get to bet like everybody else. That's the idea. Circa also encourages bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available, and you can compare the lines from each sports book, and they're confident that more often than not, you're going to come back to Circa because their lines will beat the rest. They've got outstanding customer service. I can vouch for that. Needed some help, called the number, a person picked up the phone.
Real person. So it's not just a clever slogan.
It was great. Real people behind the Circa Sports brand, and they'll resolve your issues in a timely fashion. Unlike those other sports books that use chatbots, all aspects of the app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sports book at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates, and they're with us for all Cubs Friday 120 clubs. If you or someone you know may have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. Text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
And you mentioned the great folks at Circa Sports putting us up for the draft night one, and we were in Vegas, and there's no way we were ever walking outdoors without our shady rays on our faces in Las Vegas. They definitely were protecting our eyeballs with their premium polarized shades that has never broken the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a worldwide product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for walking the strip in Las Vegas when it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, driving in Chicago traffic, or heck, a real outdoor adventure like camping or fishing or any of that fun stuff. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, Tyler Bertuzzi comes around the corner and knocks them off your head. Don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. But none of you will use that option because you will love your Shady Rays. I guarantee it. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use the promo code CHGO for 35% off polarized shades. Either get your first pair and see what all the fuss is about, or get your 100th pair because you love them so much. No matter how many you have, you're saving 35% off with the promo code CHGO.
That's a great deal. Take advantage of it. All right, let's move on to Teuvo Teravainen reportedly signing with the Hawks 3 years, $5.4 million. We were talking about this, basically part of I think in a regular season we were talking about this as a potential guy to bring back. And $2 super chat from our pal Windy City Hockey says, time for Hawks fans to dust off those Teuvo jerseys. That's right.
Sorry, Mike Hardman, you're going to need a new number.
That's true. Boy, he's going to be hard-pressed to pass up 68 or 86. But anyway, it's going to be it makes a ton of sense. This is a guy, again, with a ton of versatility. He's a different player than he was when he was here. He is a winger. He's not a center. He is much more well-rounded than he was as a Blackhawk because guess what? In Carolina, he developed. He was able to ease his way in and work his way up, and they didn't ask too much of him or punish him too hard when he failed, like what happened here when he was with Joel Quenneville. So you're getting a good two-way forward, another playmaker, a guy who can move up and down the lineup, and as you kind of project these lines out, you've got Taylor Hall, you've got Connor Bedard, you've got Tyler Bertuzzi, you've got Teuvo Teravainen, Reichel, Kurashev, Athanasiou. Like it's starting to okay, there's some options here.
Don't forget our acquisition from Vancouver.
Yeah, Mikheyev too.
Yeah, Mikheyev. There's Luke Richardson is going to have fun putting together a lineup every night because he has options, like real options. Not, I can plug it in with 5 versions of the same player.
Right.
I could play matchups. I can exploit other teams' weaknesses. I love the Teuvo move. I've been a Teuvo fan forever.
How could you not be?
I can wear my Teuvo Teravainen number 21 Rockford Ice Hogs jersey, the reverse Winter Classic.
I love that
color.
One.
That's coming back, baby.
Yeah.
I should have brought it today, but he wasn't signed. But when I got in the car, coming off a career high 25 goals season with Carolina, but he's become more of an assist guy since going out playing with Sebastian Aho. Gets you a lot of assists. His starting in his second year at Carolina, 2017-2018, 41 assists, then a career high 55 assists, 48 assists, and then 21-22 he had 43 assists. So his assist numbers were down last year, but he scored more. He had 9 power play goals last year.
That's great. I'll take that.
Yes, he's had 9 power play goals in 2 out of the last 3 seasons. He's going to get a lot of assists here because I'm guessing he's going to go on that top line. He's going to play with Connor Bedard. He's going to be on that top power play unit. He'll be the distributor on that power play.
I'm trying to remember. Is he primarily left or right wing? I think he's primarily left wing.
Primarily, but
he can move around.
Yeah. So we all really liked Philip Kurashev with Connor Bedard, but again, now you have options.
Yeah.
You don't have to pin those two together. You can put Kurashev on a second or third line now where maybe he still can produce because now he's not facing the other team's top line. He's not facing the other team's top defensive pair because that's what he saw all last year. Anytime 98 steps on the ice, the other team's top defensive pair came on the ice.
I got some breaking news brought to you by Indeed. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ALLCITY. That's Indeed.com/ALLCITY, ALLCITY. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Sam Lafferty has signed a deal with the Buffalo Sabres. 2 years, $2 million. So Sam Lafferty will not be coming to the Blackhawks. So there's someone we were sort of looking at and counting on to be here is not going to be a Blackhawk. So
I think
hard to believe the Hawks wouldn't give him $2 million. Maybe he just liked the fit there better.
Maybe. He probably got an offer from the Hawks. And then he said, I'm going to see what else I can get. Who knows if this one's better or if he wanted to go to a team that might be, closer to a playoff spot than the Hawks are at this point.
Yep.
That's a guy that, I think we were excited to get back. But now when you look at the roster now, you're kind of like, yeah, it would have been nice to have him, but it's not the end of the world. He's a really nice player. He was really good here. But, when you bring in, the three forwards you've brought in already.
Yep.
It's kind of sucks, but it won't be the end of the world.
Yeah, I would have liked having him, but there's other options out there.
There's also only so many spots on this roster.
That's true. That's true.
Because we're forgetting about Frank Nazar and
that's what
Slager.
That's where I want to go next. Because when you look at, the Bertuzzi, Teuvo signings, Taylor Hall's here until he's hurt. What does this mean for Frank Nazar? Do they have Frank Nazar penciled in as the number 2 center? Because right now you don't really have one. You could put Jason Dickinson there, but Dickinson is ideally a third center.
Dickinson and Foligno. There's your 2/3 of your third line.
Yeah.
And
you could put Slaggert on the third line
or fourth line.
Yeah.
You've got options there. But this also gives you a deep enough roster to where if you want to put Frank Nazar in Rockford for the first couple months, first half of the season, whatever, to get that acclimated, you can't.
Yeah.
You're not like depending on him making this team. There's going to be so much competition when training camp starts in September, and that is awesome. You need that. These guys need to be pushed. You have real NHL players here now.
Yeah.
You're not. And I'm not taking pot shots at anybody, but you're not trying to make up a bottom 6 of guys like Mackenzie Entwistle and Reese Johnson and Taylor Radish and Colin Blackwell.
Yeah.
They all can be serviceable players for periods of time, but those are the type of guys that playing every night are why, how you're picking 1 and 2. Now you have real NHL effective players in your lineup. I'm not declaring playoffs by any means.
No.
Here, but they're going to be playing games that actually matter beyond October 15th.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's get to some super chats here. I saw somebody had one asking about Shane Pinto. Shane Pinto is reportedly requested a trade from the Ottawa Senators. Now, that's the kind of guy, if you're looking to fill in as that number 2 center. And Pinto, by the way, he's 23 years old.
He's
6'3", 201. That is, I would be on the phone right now with Ottawa. And we know the Hawks have dealt with Ottawa before and say, what's it going to take to get Shane Pinto here? 27 points in 41 games last season. He's got 70 points in 140 games. But again, 23 years old, 6'3", 201 center. He was the first pick of the second round back in 2019. Wants out of Ottawa. That is a plug-in second-line center. It takes some pressure off Nazar. Nazar can play wing. He could start in Rockford. And then you get Nazar here, and you've got a guy like Pinto, who when Jason Dickinson's deal is over in 2 years, Bedard, Nazar, Pinto down the middle, yes. Sure. That's very, very tempting. And now I will say, I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Shane Pinto. I think a lot of teams will be calling. But when we talk about all the draft capital that the Hawks have piled up over the last few years, this is where that stuff comes in handy. And would you be willing to give up a first-round pick for not next year's first unprotected like they were going to do for Demidov?
Either our pick or Toronto's pick next year, sure. I do it.
Yeah.
Because you get a guy that's young, still has room to improve, and he's going to play immediately. Like, I would, if that's what it takes. I don't know what Ottawa's looking for. Would it take more than that? Maybe.
Well, I think it's going to be more than a first, but I would say, hey, we're going to give you Toronto's first, and let's talk. Let's start here. here's a tempting thing for you. We'll sweeten it. Maybe you like one of our prospect defensemen. Maybe you like Lucas Reichel. I don't know. By the way, some more news. The home openers have been announced around the NHL. The full schedule comes out tomorrow. The Hawks home opener, October 17th versus Macklin Celebrini and the San Jose Sharks.
Gee, I wonder why that was done.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that should be fun. October 17th, so that tells me they're probably opening with another road trip.
Seems like it.
I wonder what is Harry Styles on tour again this fall or something. Yeah, but they that should be a fun game. So that tells me they're opening on the road again. So maybe another CHGO road trip.
Oh no, that'd be terrible. A little bit of news here from Scott Powers too. Says Joey Anderson is officially a free agent, but he and the Blackhawks are talking and could still get something done. So keep an eye on that one to go as well as we look at the depth of this team now. Let's get back to Teuvo though, because aside from just having a guy that most of the city really liked and we're excited about when he was drafted, he just. If you had to pick like one guy to be like just the biggest no-brainer free agent signing for the Hawks, this is it. Teuvo Teravainen it just makes all the sense in the world. And what I heard this morning is between the Hawks and the Rangers. And I said to Law before the show started, the New York Rangers doesn't feel like a Teuvo Teravainen market. Teuvo is very introverted, very quiet, very shy. I'm sure he's opened up as he's gotten older, but the bright lights of New York Rangers don't really scream Teuvo to me.
Teuvo is a very smart young man and realizes Chicago is the vastly superior city to New York. Why would you want to go live in an overrated, arrogant, inflated city like New York? He chose right. He chose correctly.
You chose wisely.
Yes, he did.
Some more news here. Jordan Martinook, who is on the Hawks' radar, re-signs in Carolina, 3 years, $3.05 million.
I think once Tyler Bertuzzi was signed, the Martin Hook stuff was like, no, you don't need two of those guys.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of the same dude.
And Jacob Chikrin from Ottawa traded to Washington for Nick Jensen and a 2026 third-round pick.
Keeps not looking at Cap Friendly, the site they own. I saw, like Shane Gostisbehere. There was a lot of talk that he was going to re-up with Detroit. Looks like that's not going to happen. He's going to test the market. Doesn't mean he won't go back there, but it looks like he's going to hit the market. That could be a guy that I wouldn't hate.
No, that'd be nice. And a guy the Hawks were looking at, too, is the backup goalie, Alec Stolarz, has signed a 2-year deal with the Maple Leafs. So Stolarz going to Toronto saying, look, I could probably be the starter on a playoff team by the end of the year if I am the same guy I was in Florida. So smart business move for him. Would have liked to see him. That was a really nice option at backup goalie. But as backup goalies go, Alex Stolarz was high up on the list, and a lot of teams were interested. And honestly, for him, he looks at their goaltending situation and says, I'm going to bet on myself and bet that I can win myself the starting job here in Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, the opportunity will be there. I mean, Joseph Woll is still largely unproven and cannot stay healthy. So, hey, go into the playoffs with Woll and Stolarz and a 9,000-year-old Chris Tanev and a 9,000-year-old Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yep.
And thanks again for coming out. We'll try it again next year. Our guy Rooney in the chat said that Utah's home opener is October 8th against the Blackhawks. That might be
the first game of the season.
So the Blackhawks get to play the first ever game in Utah. Road trip, book it.
Oh, let's go.
Start looking up
Salt Lake City, baby.
Start looking up Airbnbs in Salt Lake City.
I might stay with my niece who goes to the University of Utah.
Can we stay at the Scientology Center?
Okay. I don't think they let you leave once you go in.
That's true. We'll get on the boat with what is it? What is the Scientology guy's name? Why am I blanking on this?
Tom Cruise?
No, not Tom Cruise.
Dianetics, Ron
Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. Yes. All right, let's knock out some super chats before more news breaks. It's fast and furious here. $2 from Alton V says, great job on the draft coverage. Thank you very much. Ellen K says, $5. That's enough to make a difference in this free agent frenzy. Good job, CHGO. John he of the melted Mickey Mouse,
Yeah, I know.
says, thoughts on Bertuzzi? Heard Greg was a big fan.
Huge fan, number one fan. I said it in the opening of the show. I'm going to go into this with an open mind. He does provide things that the Blackhawks don't have, and we'll see.
Yes, and then we have Brian Lowe with the $2 super chat says, hearing Hawks bidding on for Stolarz. Yes, we just reported Stolarz signing with Toronto. Hawks also, we have Utah on the 8th. October 11th, the Hawks will play the Jets home opener as well. So 2 division games early in the season for the Hawks.
Well, I guess get Salt Lake City and Winnipeg off the chart early.
Yeah, right. We will not be Airbnb in Winnipeg. Thank you.
Do they have Airbnbs?
Not interested. Not interested. Anthony Mantha to Calgary, 1 year, $3.5 million, according to Elliot Friedman. So man, they're coming in, and now the actual signing period has begun. It's 11:02. So official signings will come. I'm wondering if the Hawks will just send like one big email with everything, or if they're going to come one by one. We'll let you know. But first, we're going to tell you about our friends at Cuts Clothing. Get ready to be the most stylish of your crew this summer with Cuts. Most guys would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if they could. Those are true facts. The problem is that most t-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or out on a hot date night. Well, today's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts t-shirts are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and so buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. Yep, you heard that. Wrinkle-free. You never have to substitute comfort for fashion ever again. Dive into summer with Cuts. For a limited time, you can save money on Michael Chandler's favorite clothing company, heading to cutsclothing.com. That's C-U-T-S clothing.com, and use that code CHGO for 20% off. Ditch your old, sweaty, dingy t-shirts and enjoy Cuts premium fabrics. When you touch something from Cuts, you immediately feel that quality. Their proprietary fabric blends are ridiculously soft and breathable. They don't wrinkle, and they look way more expensive than they actually are. Embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order with the code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off your order with cutsclothing.com, promo code CHGO. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. Experience a perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts
Why do
Clothing.
they wait to the reads to break all this stuff? We got more breaking news brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. This is coming from, and I just lost it, Frank Saravalli.
Yeah.
The Hawks are not even close to being done. Jay, did you still?
I see it.
Hit the X.
Pat Maroon. 1 year, $1.3 million to the Blackhawks. 3-time Stanley Cup champion Pat Maroon. Veteran presence.
Fellow Husky size
Fellow
guy.
big man. We'll get him some Cuts clothing. That's for damn
That's
sure.
That's not even Craig Smith, 1 year, $1 million to the Blackhawks.
Damn.
Laurent Brossoit, backup goalie, 2 years, $2.33 to the Blackhawks. And Alex Martinez, 1 year, $4 million to the Blackhawks.
Holy cow.
Kyle Davidson has been turned loose. And holy smokes. He said he was going to make this team better. This team is vastly better.
Holy moly. I can't even keep up with this.
So we know Kyle Davis is not afraid to make a trade.
No.
So far, so good in the drafts.
Mm-hmm.
Jury's still out, but he's made some nice picks. All of a sudden, dude can get some free agents.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, Craig Smith, that's 6'1", 203. He is a centerman, 75 games with Dallas last year, 11 goals, 9 assists, 20 points. He is, I think, 34 years old, I believe. There's your Sam Lafferty for this year, your fourth-line center.
Penalty killer.
Exactly.
You should be familiar with him. A lot of time in Nashville.
Yep.
The Stars.
Boston.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's been around.
It's a nice little veteran pickup. Pat Maroon.
Big man.
He's been around forever. Won a bunch of
also
Stanley
hates
Cups.
Jack Edwards.
Right. So we're going to get along great. We're going to go eat hot dogs and tacos and make fun of Jack Edwards.
51 games with Boston last year, 4 goals, 12 assists, 16 points.
Another fourth line PK kind of guy.
Yeah, 6'3",
veteran
234.
Leader, big body. And that's a guy that him and Craig Smith if things aren't going great and you want to be sellers at the deadline, those are guys contenders
Absolutely.
are always looking to pick up.
You can
Always.
get third, fourth round picks for those guys at the deadline in a heartbeat. And it also gives, if you got some younger guys, like maybe you're like Colton Dock and not really sure if he's ready yet, maybe we want to give Slaggert some time in Rockford. This buys these guys some time to not have to rush into the lineup and contribute right away. And then if they're great and these guys are ready to go, like Colton Dock comes out, has a great preseason, you give him a look in the season, like, damn, we got to get this guy in the lineup every day. Then you could trade a Craig Smith. You could trade a Pat Maroon very, very easily. Very, very easily.
I love this comment from Zach Osborne. Alec Martinez and Pat Maroon are Blackhawks. Laughing my ass off. If you'd have told me this in 2016, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, these are definitely guys at the tail end of their careers.
Yeah, of course.
But
they're one-year deals.
They're one-year deals. You get some veteran guys in here.
It is just weird.
Guys,
those names as Blackhawks.
Guys that, know what's going on here and will be like, hey, okay, I'm not playing tonight. Cool. That's fine. I'm not going to make a stink. Stuff like that. Man, there's just so much. I was thinking, one, maybe two more forwards and a defenseman, maybe a goalie. But so they have added Smith, Bertuzzi, Teuvo, 5 forwards.
Damn.
1 defenseman. Makes me think there could be some other moves coming here. We forget, a guy we keep forgetting is still on this team? Ryan Donato.
Yeah. You're right about where's he going to play.
Where half of these guys
I mean, where's Reichel going to play?
Well, this is
crazy.
This is a good thing because now, you don't have to call guys up before they're ready. You don't have to play below NHL replacement level guys if you have injuries. Like they're good NHL veterans.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to surprise those guys.
Laurent Brossoit, or we should call him Brossoit.
He's Brossoit. Laurent Brossoit.
It as someone who was Laurent in French class, it is Laurent.
Brossoit.
Merci beaucoup.
23 games as the backup in Winnipeg last year, 15 wins, a goals against average of 2, a save percentage of .927. For the career, 140 games played, 64 wins, 2.64 goals against, .911 save percentage. This is a good goalie.
He is.
This is a good goalie.
This is more like a 1B, not a backup.
Yep.
Where Mrazek, again, great last year, but a guy that you don't necessarily want or don't necessarily know if he can give you those 60 starts a year, 50 to 60 starts. Brossoit is a guy that can... he's never started more than 24 games in a season. Or 22. 22 starts last year for the Jets was his career high. Still young-ish on that end. 31 for a goalie is not super old.
No.
Career, did you give his career?
Yeah, it was career is 64 wins in 140 games, 6 shutouts, 2.64 goals against, .911 save percentage.
I mean, he's a guy that could start 30 games for you. It's quite obvious that Luke Richardson and Kyle Davidson want a team that's hard to play against. You may beat us on any given night.
Yeah.
But you're going to know you played us. You're going to feel it in the morning. You're going to not want to come to United Center because, sure, you may sneak out a 4-3, 5-2 win.
Yeah.
But we're going to beat your ass in the process. And adding guys like Maroon, Craig Smith is a tough player. We've already got Bertuzzi. And then you add some skill, too.
Yeah. I mean, even when you look at Alec Martinez, 1-year deal, he is a left shot defenseman. Last year, 17 points in 55 games with the Golden Knights. You remember him from the Nick Leddy butt goal that we want to talk about. Charlie Romeliotis just tweets the video today like a jerk, reminding everybody of what happened.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Come on, Charlie.
But again, this is a guy that blocks shots, does it all.
Cancel that interview.
Yeah, just a really solid all-around player. And look, like, when you look at the long-term stuff, Teravainen, Bertuzzi, guys under 30 that still have a lot of hockey ahead of them. And you look at the short-term deals, guys that you can help bring in some leadership, add to the depth of the team. Obviously, this team's better. You don't have, and no disrespect to these guys, it's not Reese Johnson anymore. It's not Mackenzie Entwistle anymore. It's Craig Smith. It's Pat Maroon. It's guys like that. I did not expect them to be this active. And the fear was that maybe Kyle Davidson's going to overdo it and block some guys out. No one here is blocked. Everyone that has a chance to play at the NHL level next year that's in the system, both forward and defense, have those opportunities. There's no one here restricting him. Again, Alec Martinez is another guy. If Del Mastro or Allen or whoever it might be proves already, or Levshinov starts the season here.
If Alex Martinez plays more than 55 games this year, I'll be surprised.
Alec,
sorry.
Yeah. If that happens.
Here we go again with Regula and Vlasic.
I know.
All over again.
Yes. But that's another guy you could trade at the deadline.
Bill.
David Perron, 2 years, $4 million to Ottawa. 7-year deal for Elias Lindholm with Boston.
7.75 AV. Yikes.
Yep.
Woo!
4 years, $8 million for Stamkos in Nashville. If we didn't have that already, I'm just trying to keep up with everything going on. It's like,
Nashville also, have you reported Marchessault yet? That's another
yeah,
one.
we mentioned that one earlier too.
According to our friends at the soon-to-be dead Cap Friendly, so far 27 signings in free agency. Total years, 75 years. Total cap hit, $74.2 million. They have dealt out over almost $293 million total dollars so far today. Not Kyle Davidson, but the league as a whole.
That'd be nice though.
Pretty crazy. I'm just trying to see if I can get a roster up for the Hawks.
Yeah.
So we can kind of figure out where everything is. I saw Taylor Radish is going to Washington.
Okay. Arvidsson, by the way, going to Edmonton. That just came in from Elliot Friedman. That was a guy we had talked about as a potential Hawk, but now that you got Bertuzzi and Teuvo, that would probably be more than you would need, especially if you're considering Taylor Hall as part of this team. I think what I would like to see added is a right shot defenseman, but you add in Martinez. I mean, there's not a lot of spots open now on the defense.
I mean, Martinez can be this year's version of Zaitsev.
He's so much better, though. He's way better than Zaitsev.
We act like Zaitsev was a complete pile.
He was. Zaitsev is a guy.
He is a guy, but Alec Martinez right now is just a guy.
I don't know.
He's a guy that's won Stanley Cups. He hasn't been great or healthy the last couple of seasons.
The health thing is true.
So if he plays more than 50 games this year, I'll be surprised. But he's that. You know what he's better than? To look at 3 out of 5 games, Jared effing Tenorti.
Correct.
He is better than him.
Yeah.
Exponentially better than him. It's a fine move. It's good. It gives you that depth. It gives you another season to let the young guys kind of still develop, still season. Don't forget that Louis Crevier and Isaac Phillips were reportedly given qualifying offers. Mm-hmm. So they're still in the mix to come up. You kind of feel that, like, just like last year, if there's a need, those will probably be like the first guys up when they realize we just need a guy for 2 or 3 games, and let Allen, and if Del Mastro doesn't make the team, or Kaiser. But Martinez is a good mentor for these young guys, a guy that's won multiple Stanley Cups, a guy that's been through the wars, knows how to play against the league's top stars.
Yeah,
been in pressure moments. So it's a good move. On ice, I don't know what he has left, but I know he's better than Jacob Megna and Jared Tenorti.
That's 100%. So when you look at the team as it is now on the roster, Jones, Vlasic, Murphy, Martinez, Korchinski, and then, of course, in the minors, you've got Kaiser, Del Mastro, Allen, Crevier, and Phillips. So all those guys, left-handed defensemen, except for Crevier. I don't think Crevier is a guy that's going to start the season in the NHL. I also think that potentially we make a little too much about left-handed, right-handed shots. I know they were working with Nolan Allen to play the right side last year.
Well, you have your right side guy for the future. You just drafted him.
I mean, Levshinov could theoretically be on the team next year.
He could be. I hope he's not, though.
I would like to see him in Rockford. Close to the team, developing in the. But I think it might be too tempting to call him up.
I would be happy if we don't see him, or maybe if he goes back to Michigan State, then he can come like Nazar and Slaggert last year when that season's over. Come down with that too. Play the last 5 or 6 games of the season. It's. I would prefer that he's not on the. I mean, if he's great and he earns a spot, sure, but. It's not Kevin Kuczynski, where he has to either be here or go back. They have options for him. See, here's the thing, though. They have to make that decision because if he is going back to Michigan State, he's not going to be here for training camp.
Right.
He can't.
Right.
So you have
to make that decision.
You have to
soon.
make that decision in the summer if you think, okay, you're going to go pro, probably Rockford. It's not like he can be here for training camp and then you send him to college. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Because you have to be under contract to be in an NHL training camp or on a tryout.
Right.
And the second he even does a PTO, that word professional makes him ineligible for college. So they got a decision to make. We'll know what that decision is before training camp. It's not like a junior player where he can come to training camp and then you send him back.
Right.
They have to make that decision long before training camp.
Guy we talked about a lot leading into free agency, Chris Tanev, 34 years old, one of the best defensive defensemen in the game. 6 years at 4.5 for Toronto. Good luck with that. I know 4.5 is not massive, especially with the cap going up.
They were reporting, 6 to 8.
Yeah.
But the 6 years for a 34-year-old will be, I think, 35 before the season starts. Who plays tough. I mean, he, his style of play, he missed a couple games down the stretch against Edmonton because he was hurt. All right, that's fine.
Nikita Zadorov.
I would like him with the Hawks, but not for 6 years. That's
hell
insane.
No. Zadorov, 6 years, $5 million with Boston.
Man, Boston.
$5 million is not bad for him. He's worth $5 million.
6 years?
How old is he? He's not as old as you think, I don't think.
I don't think he's
29.
Yeah, but
it's a little long. But they probably had to give him the term to get him to come there.
Like Zadorov, is that like I don't know. I like Nikita Zadorov. He gives you a lot, but he also takes away some too.
He does. I will say though, he's a better player now than he was in Chicago, and I think system has a lot to do with that.
That too.
Jason Zucker to Buffalo, $5 million 1 year.
Buffalo trying to do something. That's not a bad move for Buffalo.
I'm really interested to see what happens with Jeff Skinner. I think you could probably cross the Hawks off that list.
Yeah,
he's a winger, not a center.
Unless you're allowed to play with 5 lines.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, if they're done.
If
they're signing another forward, it's going to be a center. You have to imagine. But they're probably happy with Jason Dickinson as your second center. He did fine there. Maybe they're going to give Reichel another look. I wouldn't. Maybe they got Nazar penciled in. I don't know. But I feel like they could be done, but no official release has been sent yet. And there are a few other things you could possibly imagine them doing. But, I mean, I don't know how you look at this and feel like the Hawks aren't significantly better and also not hurting the future in the things they're doing. Because, again, like you mentioned with Teuvo and Bertuzzi, as this team... There goes my water.
That was awesome.
As this team grows and improves.
The electrical equipment.
Thank you, Law. Sorry about that. We're going to die. I'm just not going to touch anything. Those are guys that, as they get older, can move down the lineup as your younger players elevate. And it's just a very nice, natural kind of transition as those guys move to the bottom 6 and some of your younger players move up to your top 6. And then the other veterans you bring in, they're here for a year. They're here to the deadline. I don't know. I don't know how you can look at this unless you just personally hate Tyler Bertuzzi, which I know a lot of people do. I don't know how you can look at this day and be anything but happy about it.
The team is better than it was. Is the team great? Probably not.
No.
Is the team a Stanley Cup contender?
No.
Definitely not. Can the team stay in the wild card standings for 75% of the year? I think so. Will they make the playoffs? Doubtful, but they'll at least make it interesting.
The only thing is that the Central is so tough now.
It is, but you never know.
Has anyone gotten worse in the Central?
St. Louis. They didn't make the playoffs last year, but
They lost Kevin Hayes.
Winnipeg.
Who'd they lose?
They lost. Well, they lost Brossois.
Brossois.
They're going to lose Monahan,
Yeah, it looks like Monahan's going to Columbus. That seems to be the chatter.
and we'll see. Hey, if you like what we're doing here at CHGO, you should become a diehard if you're not already. I know we have a lot of our diehards in the chat. Diehards get so many great perks. In addition to all the great live podcasts and post-game shows we have for all Chicago teams, you get access to the premium written content for members only at allchgo.com. That will include Jay's Blackhawks beat, the Blackhawks rebuild report when the season cranks up again. If you're a Bears fan, being a diehard is awesome because Adam Hogue and Nick put a lot of stuff up there. Plus, you get a free hat or shirt when you sign up, and we'll send you a cool little box with a bunch of stickers and your own diehard membership card. And one of those shirts you can pick is our brand new Hall of Fame 24-27C shirt. Look at that beauty.
I love it.
For the great
Already
Ty
ordered.
Jones. That's an awesome shirt. I am definitely going to get one as soon as payday hits here in a couple of days. So I love that shirt. If you played NHL 94, how can you not have
Everybody
that
did.
shirt? That's the best player.
By the
that
way,
was on that game.
you could have already purchased that shirt if you were at the roulette table yesterday,
Yes, you could have.
hitting number 16.
one
Shout
went-
out to Michelle Goulet.
That's yes, Michelle Goulet, and Marcus Kruger.
Ideal check.
So, yes, there you go. So you get 20% off that shirt. If you want, you can get that shirt for free. Any shirts, our legendary 81 shirt, any one of the Blackhawk shirts. You get access to the members-only Discord lounge where you get your Mailbag Monday questions take precedent over everybody else's to return next week. Plus, we got a lot of cool events coming up. You can join a ton of the CHGO hosts for the inaugural Cookout Classic Golf Tournament presented by Miller Lite, Shady Rays, and Circus Sports Illinois at the St. Andrews Golf Country Club.
We're going to Scotland.
Not that one. They're playing on course number 2. You can sign up as an individual, a twosome, or foursome. Your entry fee includes 18 holes with a cart. It's a 4-person scramble. Tee gift for every player. Token for a complimentary Miller Lite. There's whole contest. Great giveaway and prizes for winning and last place teams. So if you can really stink and still get a prize. 1 complimentary spiked Arnold Palmer per person. I believe that's
Cha-ching.
John Daly.
I believe that's called the John Daly.
Correct.
There'll be a lunch and ceremony after the golf is done, plus a cash bar for alcoholic beverages. Bears are taking trips all season long. They're going to London.
Hello.
They're going to London in October, right? That's October. Against
Yes, it
the
is.
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
They're
Jaromir
also taking a
Jaguars.
fun trip to Arizona to see our friends over at PHNX. Shout out to our friends at PHNX. Love those guys.
gals.
And you can watch, yes. And you can watch the Bears take on the Cardinals in lovely Phoenix. So that's all going on. Become a diehard. You don't have to become a diehard to go to any of these events. But if you are, you get 20% off.
Save a buttload of money
The
and get a
perks
free
are
shirt to
great.
wear.
And plus, you'll get our undying love and gratitude.
Well,
and that
that's
is
most
priceless.
important.
That is priceless.
All right, couple new signings to announce, not for the Hawks, but just in general.
What?
Blue Jackets signed Sean Monahan, 5 years, $5.5 million. Brandon Duhaime signs 2 years, $1.85 in Washington. And Matt Roy, 6 years, $5.75 in Washington. I don't know what the Capitals are doing. I don't understand
They
it.
just want Ovi to break the goal record, and then they'll be really bad for a long time.
Yikes.
It's just because they just found out about this new website called Capital Friendly, and they're trying to figure out how it works, so they don't really know what they're doing.
Okay, so Matt Murray is staying in Toronto. So Matt Murray is behind Woll and Stolars?
Yeah, well, whatever.
Okay. All right, recapping what the Hawks have
we
done.
can't keep running the same shit back
As they run the
as
same
they
shit
run
back.
the same shit back every year.
Well, Oliver Ekman-Larsson's there.
Oh yeah, that's
And,
that
well,
was
Tanev
great.
and Ekman-Larsson make their defense better.
Does it make it good though?
Tanev does, at least for the next 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
That is a shutdown mofo defenseman. He's going to block everything. He's going to get people away from it. Like, he's going to help them a lot. So, in fairness.
Until he does something bad and they all jump on him.
Oh, that's going to, that'll happen immediately.
And because remember, they hated Jake McCabe for like the first 6 months he was there.
Bring him here. We'll take him back. By the way, my predictions of Hawks will return. Just saying. All right, here's recapping what the Hawks have done so far. Tyler Bertuzzi, 4 years, $5.5 million. Teuvo Teravainen, 3 years, $5.4 million. Defenseman Alec Martinez, 1 year, $4 million. Pat Maroon, 1 year, $1.3 million. Craig Smith, 1 year, $1 million. Laurent Brossoit, 2 years, $3.3 million. And then again, Ben Gaudreau, who's at development camp today, had signed a 1-year deal with Rockford of the AHL, and former high pick of the San Jose Sharks.
We should be getting some stuff from the Fifth Third Arena.
I think so, yeah.
There's media availability. Development camp is underway. There's no on-ice stuff again this year. I would believe Luke Richardson's going to speak at some point today, as well as new play-by-play broadcaster Rick Ball, who will be here with us in studio at 2:30 tomorrow. We'll be back at our normal time. And I believe some members of the 2024 draft class. So we'll get some quotes rolling in from there.
Yes.
Mario is at home recovering.
Yeah.
From
Las Vegas.
From
he tweeted it. He's got COVID.
Yeah, he's recovering from having lunch with DJ Bean, and so we wish Mario a speedy recovery. Otherwise, we would have been hearing from him at Fifth Third today, but we'll hopefully get some quotes and maybe some video from there. As I mentioned, development camp going on all week. They Blackhawks announced that roster yesterday. No media availability tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll get to talk to Anders Sorensen and some other development camp members. And then Friday, we'll hear from the chef himself, cooking Kyle Davidson. We'll talk on Friday. So
exciting.
Yeah.
Our buddy Tab Bamford, by the way, is helping us out with some video. So when Luke speaks, he will send it in. Hopefully we are still on the air when it happens. If not, we'll post it on social media.
It's back.
Thanks to Tab for helping us out. We appreciate that when we're a little bit shorthanded.
Hey, there's
That's
not
what
enough
it's all
likes
about.
on this damn show.
Yes, I do appreciate. We are part of an awesome group of beat reporters who don't get selfish. They help
each other
out. You know, we've had
still competitive, but not dickish.
right. There's enough.
Except Charlie.
Yes.
I said, all right, couple other things. Joel Edmondson signs 4 years, $3.8 million with the Kings. William Carrier, 6 years, $2 million with the Canes. I still can't get over the Stamkos to Nashville thing, man.
It's a good deal.
He's wearing a piss jersey.
Yeah, well,
Like if I said to you a month ago, okay, Steven Stamkos is going to be a free agent. Where's he signing? How long would it take you to get to Nashville?
not as long as you probably think.
Really?
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense for them. It's not that far from Tampa. He doesn't have to move super far away. Still Southern team.
Yeah.
It's a much better team today than it was yesterday. That's a good team. Nashville's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, they are. They're already a pain in the ass. Now they're
Trotz.
yeah.
I've always had a lot of respect for Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's trying to build a team that doesn't play like a Barry Trotz coached team, because those are hard to play against and even harder to watch.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Nashville's going to be good. No doubt about it. Another signing to announce here, Jake DeBrusk, a guy we had talked about for the Hawks, signs a 7-year, $5.5 million deal with the Canucks.
Oofa.
Long-term, good number, though. 5.5, like, that's not a bad bet on Jake DeBrusk.
If the Hawks gave him that contract, I wouldn't be happy. And I like Jake DeBrusk, but, talking to some of our Boston friends, there's a lot of that. He's great when he wants to be, but half the time he doesn't want to be. 7-year deal, I mean, I don't know. It's the Canucks. I don't care. But he gets to be closer to home. His dad is the color guy for the
Louis.
Oilers.
The Oilers. So he gets to be closer to home. See if he figures it out.
Another kind of underrated signing.
It's kind of funny that's who they when they made the trade with the Blackhawks to open up some cap space. Everybody was like, oh, they're making room for Jake Gensel. Nope. They're making room for Jake, but it was for Jake DeBrusk.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going over well in Vancouver.
Another signing that I like for San Jose, Tyler Toffoli. That's a guy who all he does is score, all he does is win. That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
solid. I like that a lot.
That Toffoli was a guy I would have liked to
100%.
I would have liked the Blackhawks to get, but obviously going to a contender doesn't matter because he's going to San Jose.
Yeah.
But San Jose will be improved next season, and if you missed it, that's who the Hawks will see first at the United Center, October 17th, the home opener. The Blackhawks will be playing the Utah Hockey Club, their home opener. So the first game ever in Salt Lake City, the Blackhawks will be involved. That was the 8th, and then I think there was a game in Winnipeg along the way.
11th.
The 11th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I bet you there's a stop in Colorado on that swing before coming home.
We'll see. All right, new one, Kevin Stenlund, 2 years, $2 million with Utah, and defenseman Kevin Lagesson signs with the Red Wings, 1 year, $775,000. So,
and I don't know if we mentioned it, Sam Reinhart going back to the Panthers.
yep,
8
under
years,
9.
That's a good deal.
That's a solid deal.
That's a guy that says, I really like what we did last year. I'd like to do that some more.
Yep.
I don't need the $12 million that I might have gotten. Well, I don't know if he would have gotten that much, but
he used 9 or 10.
He would have gotten
was
10.
on- yeah,
He would have
it's
gotten 10. Somebody
50
would have
plus goal
grossly overpaid him. But that's a good deal for the Panthers.
That's one of those ones,
That Bill
though-
Zito guy might know what he's doing down there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of deal, though, that other players might not love. They say, wait a minute, dude, like, we're going to be measured against your contract, and you probably should have made a little bit more. But, hey, that's what it's all about, man. Like, this guy wants to win. He wants to stay in Florida. He wants to give them a chance to keep other guys signed. And while it may not feel like that $1.5 million makes a big deal, Hawks fans sure make a big deal out of that $1.5 million too much for Seth Jones. So, I mean, it helps because if you have 5 guys do that, there's a $5 or $6 million player that you can bring in and sign and makes the team better. We know that very, very well here in Chicago with Taves and Kane and Seabrook and those guys taking like the maximum they're worth. And it prevents you from bringing guys back, and it costs you Teuvo Teravainen to get rid of Brian Bickle.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about your prediction for a former Blackhawk coming back. It looks like my prediction of somebody that played in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final isn't going to happen. But you reminded me, and I meant to mention this yesterday. We were asked for, last Mailbag Monday, we were asked for a bold prediction of the draft. Mine was perfect. Do you remember what mine was?
I don't.
Mine was that Cole Eiserman will be on the board at 18 for the Blackhawks, and they won't pick him.
You were right.
Greg.
Good call.
That's upsetting.
I don't think it will be. In 3 years, I don't think it will be as upsetting as it was on draft night.
Yeah. Kiefer Sherwood, 2 years, $1.5 million in Vancouver. We got some super chats to knock out.
We definitely do. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. We got Windy City Hockey again with another $2.
He's making me miss Vegas.
Kyle from Chicago.
I don't miss Vegas.
Vegas bug pushing the chips in.
Well, I just missed the gambling.
They have
did
casinos
well. I
in
did-
Illinois, Lawrence.
I did
it's
nothing.
not the same.
I did absolutely nothing.
I was.
You helped me win 100.
I helped you by sitting next to you, and
yeah.
my bad luck avoided you.
That's perfect.
Yeah, he helped you. But what'd you get him? Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm here.
You could have given me another hand to play. I mean, just saying.
Could have thrown him one of those giant.
Throw one of your $5, $10 chips on red and just see what happens. Keep it going.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Well, you're a bad
I
guy.
screwed
No,
that
I'm
up.
just kidding. Lawrence did very, very well at the roulette table.
Well, he did he did well at the last table he sat
And
at.
he had a good
and
blackjack
that's the
night.
best table to win at. The last one you're at
Yes.
for the weekend.
I won at the last 2 tables I sat on.
I wasn't at that other one, so it doesn't count.
Danton Heinen to Vancouver, 2 years, $2.25 million. As
They're
he's
signing all the Bruins.
keep rolling out. All right, we've got I got emails there, not from the Blackhawks. I don't know. I feel like there's something else. I don't know what it would be. I don't know if you could really ask for more.
Yeah,
Bertuzzi, Teravainen, Martinez, Maroon, Smith, Brossois. I mean, that's a solid offseason, let alone 35 minutes since free agency started.
I mean, the Blackhawks, according to Cap Friendly, still have $8.4 million in cap space. So they got flexibility.
I mean, from a team that needed to spend $11 million to get to the cap floor.
Well, they got there quickly.
Yes, they did.
They got there
Yes, they did.
quickly.
Here's a couple thoughts too. A couple guys out there. Patrick Laine, requested a trade. He's not been dealt yet.
Well, I think there's some holdup there because he's technically still in the NHL.
But wasn't today the day? Because it's the new. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
But he's still in the program. I believe he has to get like cleared from the assistance program before he can be moved.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a deadline date for that. You clear the program when you've accomplished everything the program wants you to do. So
yeah,
that might be a trade that if he's traded, probably closer to the season.
Rutger McGroarty, who wants to trade out of Winnipeg, is still there. Shane Pinto's requested a trade. I saw someone in the chat mentioned that if someone offers
Marty
Sheets
Natchez
Pinto,
hasn't been traded.
That's true.
we forgot about that. That hasn't happened.
That has not happened. I don't know if it's going to.
Well, they probably not. Teuvo's gone. Jake Gensel's gone. You got to have somebody there.
He doesn't want to be there, though.
Well,
that's just such an ugly situation,
here's the thing,
man.
Though. They can now go to him and say, okay, you want to be a top-line guy? You're now a top-line guy out of necessity.
But that's
You're
true.
going to get your chance
Yeah,
here.
you'll get your time.
So let's do a nice little one-year deal, and we'll revisit this next season. But now that Gensel's not here and Teravainen is gone, here's your chance.
Yeah.
You want to be top-line guy? Show us you can do it this year, and then we'll give you what you want.
All right, of these, lesser signings, we already talked about Teuvo at length. We already talked about Bertuzzi at length. Which of these is your favorite of the moves?
Teuvo.
Beside those two?
Sorry, I was
Maroon, Brossoit, Martinez. Which is your favorite of those? And Smith, of course.
Probably Brossoit, because he's going to be the one that will affect more games.
Yeah.
It's not an. I don't want to come off like a jagoff, but too late. It's better than Arvid Soderblom.
Yeah, of course.
And I like Arvid
Soderblom about that.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him personally. I really like
super nice kid.
I really like, and it'd be interesting to see what they do with him. Is he going to play in Rockford this year, or are they going to say, "Hey, you want to go back to Sweden? We'll loan you to a team," and that's the last we ever see with him. But I think he might be going back to Rockford because there's been no word on Stauber. Obviously, you have time with that, but it just everything we've heard. I don't think the organization was high on him as some of the fan base was. So if you put Soderblom back down there and you have Commesso and Soderblom, and then
a good tandem.
This Ben Gaudreau is probably going to go to Indy, but
Yeah,
he's a guy
true.
that you can, But then if you do have an injury to Mrazek or Brossoit, then Soderblom can come up and maybe with some confidence after working on things in the AHL. Winning some games. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. You win a few games, all of a sudden you're feeling better. You don't feel that like, man, the next goal I allow is going to be the one that costs us the game.
Yeah.
Then usually you allow 3 goals when you start thinking like that. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think Soderblom's days with the organization are over. I really think if they don't re-sign Stauber, he'll be the guy to alternate with Commesso and Rockford.
Yeah. A couple more super chats. Austin says, is it deflating we didn't land Demidov at 4? I don't know if deflating is the right word. I'm encouraged. We talked about this on our latest show, aside from this one, of course. I'm glad that he was aggressive and tried to get it done. I'm also glad that he didn't go out of his mind and give up the world to make it happen.
Right. He obviously he saw what we all saw in Demidov and wanted to get him. And, some people are like, well, why didn't he go the other way? Get Demidov at 2 and then try to move up to get Levshunov at 4. Well, there's no guarantee. That could have been Anaheim's guy, and maybe that's why they went off the board.
They obviously had Levshunov rated above Demidov.
Probably very close between the two.
Yeah.
They wanted that right-handed,
But it all
mobile
hinged
defenseman.
on Lindstrom.
Right. So if Pat Verbeek would have taken Lindstrom, we would have had the
It would have happened
dynamic
regardless.
duo.
Yes.
And if you would have had that, I don't know, maybe Columbus was like, no, we know what you're going to do, and that's not going to be a top 3 pick next year, so we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this team is finishing in the top 3 or getting a top 3 pick unless something crazy happens and they rig the draft lottery and they win the draft lottery from the 11th spot.
Yeah.
Which I would not be angry with.
I know, it'd be fine.
Here's according to our soon to be dead friends at Cap Friendly.
The people aren't dying. The website
No,
is.
the website's dying. 14 forwards on the NHL roster right now. Tyler Bertuzzi,
Yeah.
who has the biggest cap hit on the Blackhawks.
Yeah?
Wow.
Teuvo Teravainen, Nick Foligno, Andreas Anastasio, Jason Dickinson, Ilya Kayev, Philip Kurashev, Ryan Donato, Patrick Maroon, Lucas Reichel, Craig Smith, Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, Landon Slaggert.
That's 14.
Yes.
And you don't have Taylor Hall on there. That's 15.
Because he's still listed on injured reserve. So that's 15 guys.
So you can look at probably Nazar and maybe Slaggert and Rockford.
Maybe there's a trade coming.
I think there's a
Maybe
trade
there's
coming.
a trade coming. Maybe there's something in the works. Again, it's okay to have depth.
Yeah, you figure it out.
It's okay to have depth. They have 5 defensemen signed on NHL deals right now. Seth Jones, Alex Vlasic, Connor Murphy, Alec Martinez, Kevin Korchinski. Of course, there's guys in the AHL. So there's your 5 defensemen. So that gives you 2 guys to come up and try and take a spot. We mentioned Del Mastro's probably the first to get that crack. Allen, Kaiser. You still have Phillips and Crevier.
Yeah.
You've got depth. Better depth than you. Like last year, we were like, oh, this is a team that actually has some depth now. And then that depth was just completely flushed down the toilet in the worst week of January, like when everybody got hurt. But you actually have, guys aren't going to be cemented on the same spot every night.
No, true.
You can move guys around.
Let's get some more super chats while we're here. Got one from John who says, would love a trade for either Nick Robertson or Shane Pinto, who are both 22, 23 and requested a trade. Yeah, we talked about Pinto. I guess Nick Robertson wants out of Toronto.
Dude can't stay healthy. I'm not giving up a lot of guys for.
I wouldn't either. I mean, you take a
Pinto-
flyer on him for a late round pick, but I think they'll
Pinto.
probably be.
Oh, yeah. Like Nick Robertson is not Jason Robertson,
No.
even when he's healthy.
Pinto, I'd give up a lot for.
Pinto, I'd admit that's something I would definitely explore. Nick Robertson, if it's anything more than like a third, I'm not interested, to be honest with you. I think guys like Nazar and Oliver Moore are going to be better than him.
2 years for Cam Talbot in Detroit, so they've got a backup goalie.
Tam Calbutt.
Ben Mueller with a $2 super chat says, we have a team, boys. Let's go Hawks. So happy. Another $2 from N says, gut reaction over under 79.5 points. What's your pick? That's a pretty solid number.
Yeah, I said this, before we got to today and the offseason, if they can somehow figure out a way to get 70 points next year, that is a huge improvement. That's an 18-point improvement. That does not happen in the NHL very often. So to even get more, I don't know. I'll have to see how this breaks down. I think right now, on July 1st, if I'm making that bet, it's probably under, but not much under.
Yeah.
We'll see where that is.
Mid-70s feels pretty good.
We'll see where that is second week of October. And we'll see what how the roster shakes out. And, a lot can happen between now and then. But I would say under, but not that far under.
User with a 99-cent super chat says, need a third pairing right defenseman. Yeah, you also got a spot for a kid.
Yeah.
And you can move a veteran to the right side if you have to.
Right.
So you don't want to have 6. I don't want to have 6 veteran defensemen. And that's, if you were to bring in another guy right now, you'd have Vlasic and Korchinski. Then it's Martinez, Murphy, Jones, and whoever you bring in. I feel like Del Mastro or Kaiser or Allen needs to get a chance to make this team and be a better part of 82 game player.
Yeah, you'll.
Rebuild's not over.
Sacrifice the third pairing this year if you can. Not sacrifice it, but you don't. Yeah, you need to let these guys come up and earn their spots. You look at some of the guys that are non-roster players, so guys that are likely going to be in Rockford that are signed. Paul Lewinsky, Nick Lardis. He's on an ECI. I don't think he's probably going to go back to juniors. I'm almost guaranteed he's going to go back to juniors. Antti Sorella, Ryder Rolston, Martin Misiak probably going back to juniors. Gavin Hayes might be pro this year. We still have Jalen Lipin in the mix. Your guy, Samuel Savoy.
There you go.
he's going to be fun to watch this year. He's going to be in Rockford probably.
Yeah.
He'll be a pro this year.
Rockford's going to be fun, dude.
Colton Dock, Cole Gutman, Zach Sanford, Brent Seeney.
I hit my knee.
You're having a day
yeah.
today. You're knocking shit over.
I'm very tired.
Making our camera go out.
The worst thing that happened to me was last night, right before I went to bed, I saw the Tyler Bertuzzi news start to leak out from a source. I was like, I don't know what this guy's hooked up. And then someone else said
you
it.
texted to me, and then I didn't sleep.
I couldn't sleep.
Thanks
I was
for
just
not
going
texting
through
that to me.
is that real? What does that mean? How's it going to fit? What else is happening? And then it was just the brain, the tires were churning on me. And that's never the best. Because once that starts, even my half of an edible of my good news counting sheep didn't really kick in. User with 279 says, why didn't we try to trade for Patrick Kane? Because he's a free agent. Hawkeye with
and
the $5.
There's nowhere for him to play on this roster right
That's
now.
right. He's
Just kidding.
He's pushed out. Hawkeye says, how do you guys feel about Teuvo and Big Pat Maroon coming to the Hawks along with Bertuzzi? I asked you a question what your favorite one was. Pat Maroon, I like that a lot. Like you talk about the way Foligno impacted the locker room. Maroon is a big MFer who is physical, knows how to win, highly respected. Like that's a guy who's going to come in and command and lead, and obviously signs here, so wants to be here. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. I'm excited to talk to him and pick his brain about, hey, from a distance, you saw what's happening in Chicago. What are your thoughts about that? What inspired you to sign here? Because that's not a name I expected.
No.
Old, grizzled,
slow, but
that's fine.
Again,
he's in your fourth line with Craig Smith. It's beautiful.
And he'll probably be a healthy scratch every now and again for various reasons. But I guarantee you, someone tries to get a little spicy with Connor Bedard, he's going to be the first guy there. The first guy there to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yes.
So then maybe Nick Foligno doesn't have to break his hand and miss a month of the season this year.
Look, it does take some of that pressure.
Bertuzzi, Smith, Maroon, those guys, now we're going to see guys have to go play the roles they excel at this year. They don't have to be second line forward and enforcer. They could be just whatever they like. Now guys are going to fit their roles. They're going to be properly put in positions. And this is more of a team than just a roster.
And all the leadership now doesn't fall on Foligno. I know that, Dickinson stepped up and talked a lot, and Ryan Donato stepped up and talked a lot. Of course, those guys are valuable, but it felt like Foligno was the guy who was just on a different level and was always the one having to be the bad cop, having to talk to the team, having to lead the players only meetings. Now he's got some backup. He's got some guys with some authority that these young players are going to look at and say, that's a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, Patrick Maroon. That's Alec Martinez, who won, 2 with LA?
And another with Vegas.
So is he a 3-time Cup winner, too?
He's a 3-time Cup.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
Was he on the 2012 team?
I'm not sure.
Stand by. If there's only one way we could figure this out quickly.
No idea how that works.
But to answer Hawkeye's question, we did talk about it a little bit. Bertuzzi, we started the show with, and while it at first is a little bit jarring to be like, oh, that guy.
For Martinez, he was on both.
Yeah, 3 cups for Martinez. All right, so that's great.
Jay, I'm surprised. I thought you'd say that Teuvo was your favorite just because it's Addie's
No,
good
the
friend.
topic is favorite aside from those two.
Between outside of Bertuzzi.
Outside of Bertuzzi and Teuvo. Yeah.
Teuvo and Bertuzzi.
Of the veteran signings.
What? How do you feel about Teuvo and Big Pat Maroon coming to the Hawks along with Bertuzzi? I thought he'd be your favorite one because of the.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
We were talking earlier.
'cause
Which
it's
is your
Addie's friend.
favorite?
Addie's close
Not
friend.
named Teuvo.
Yes.
We're in the same room, Lawrence.
I know.
I don't know. You got headphones on and everything.
Well, there's a picture of Teuvo terrifying my daughter. I think that would be probably 2013.
We need a reunion.
Yeah.
My wife sent a picture. She actually tweeted. I can send the tweet to you there. Of my daughter now pulling the head, now 14, pulling the sheets over her head, saying she's never going to a game again.
That's because of Tommy Hawk.
Right. Well, that too. The things that scare my daughter: Tommy Hawk and Teuvo Teravainen.
No, all mascots.
All mascots is
and
right.
Teuvo Teravainen.
I put
Speaking
the link in
of
Slack.
Tommy Hawk, I don't like the math. It's, we have 900 people watching.
Oh my
900
goodness!
people. Holy smokes.
We only
How many
have
likes?
Not enough.
That's not enough.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, we're gonna do a like spike in honor of the ailing DJ Bean, and Pete Blackburn is sick now too, so they couldn't do their live show. So we had to cover it for them. 3 2, 1. Smash that like button. Hit it for us right now.
If you don't like the show, we're going to get Kyle Davidson to null and void the Teuvo Teravainen contract.
That's right. We have the authority to do that, damn it. We will call Kyle and say, undo. You've not sent the email yet. Unsubmit. Yeah, smash that like button for us. It's super, super helpful for us. It helps us with our visibility. It helps us show up on YouTube so people can find us. And there's the picture of my daughter today at 14 hiding under a blanket because Teuvo Teravainen is back to terrorize her in Chicago. So funny.
He is a scary dude.
Terrifying. That's what Teravainen in Finnish is terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that means.
It's an appropriate name.
Yeah.
He scares the bejesus out of most people.
Yeah.
Teuvo Teravainen.
Teravainen. I love it.
I think that's a T-shirt idea.
Couple other moves here. Matt Duchene, 1 year, $3 million to stay in Dallas. And Jonathan Duran, $2.5 million, 1 year to stay in Colorado to make Nathan McKinnon very, very happy. Maybe he's finally found his home, Jonathan Duran, after all these years.
The good thing is, like, all these, nothing over a 4-year deal today.
Yeah.
4 for Bertuzzi, 3 for Teuvo, which kind of surprised me on the length. That's what she said. And and then everybody else, well, Boissois is a 2-year deal, and then Maroon and Smith and Martinez are on 1-year deals.
I like the 2-year deal for Boissois.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You probably had to give that to him to do it. But Mrazek's 2 years, Boissois is 2 years, gives 2 years for Camezzo and Guyan to keep developing, and then we'll see where we're at. And again, a guy like Boissois is a guy that, and Mrazek next year, maybe that's somebody you dangle out as a trade. If Camezzo is coming, maybe that's a guy that everybody needs veteran goaltending. But we'll see. But I like the terms. None of these guys are going to force out any of the prospects coming up. They're not going to hinder any of that. They're not going to prevent any of those guys from getting their pay raises in the next couple of years. So we'll see we'll see what happens. I don't think Kyle Davidson is done with this roster. We just went over all the 4. They have 15 forwards on the roster right now, and all of them can play. So I think there might be a trade or two coming before the season starts. Not today, not tomorrow.
Please don't do it today.
But man, if your fourth line is Ryan Donato centering Pat Maroon and Craig Smith, it's a pretty good fourth line.
Yeah.
It's not going to score a lot of goals, but it's going to stop the other teams from scoring a lot of goals.
Absolutely.
And your third line is Dickinson, Foligno, Mikheyev. Okay.
The center, the thing is the centers. But again, if they have Nazar in the lineup as a center, then your 1, 2, 3, 4 is set. It's Bedard, it's Nazar, it's Dickinson, it's Craig Smith. Right?
Yeah. You still have
you got
Slager
Donato who
to
can play center. You've got Kurashev who can play center in a pinch. I don't know.
It's Luke Richardson. I don't think he spoke yet today.
No, not yet.
I think he's probably pretty happy right now because he has real options.
Real options. Yeah.
Real options. Not, well, which one of these 5 guys who are the exact same player do I play tonight? It's, okay, this guy gives me this. I need that against this team. But he doesn't, I really don't need that against tomorrow's opponents. So now I can put this guy here, and he could play matchups and be expertent. And then, you've got more options for Bedard. We always thought Taylor Hall was going to be attached on his line. He still might, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
We saw what him and Kurashev did together. They still might be together for most of the season, but they don't have to be. You have options. You have different ways to play it. You can base it on who you're playing that night. If you're playing a more physical team, if you're playing the Blues or you're playing the Bruins, the Panthers, you can put Bertuzzi up there with Connor Bedard for a night and be okay.
100%. 100%. A couple of people mentioning, by the way, that Athanasiou is a center option as well. And he is. He did pretty well as center 2 years ago when they tried at the end of the year, basically out of necessity, because, damn, he was It was due because they had like no one left to play. So a couple of people also asking like if Lucas Reichel was on the trade block. Lucas Reichel has less value now than he'll ever have.
No.
If you are done with Lucas Reichel, if the Hawks are like, we don't think he's going to pan out, they need to wait until he gets hot or something and trade. Like right now, you're going to get nothing for him. No. He's not like people are like Reichel from McGroarty. No. The people have seen Reichel play, and yeah, he's been great in Rockford. We've seen flashes of good at the NHL level, but at the NHL level, he's been massively inconsistent. Last year, he was flat out bad. So I don't think you're going to get value for Lucas Reichel right now.
No. You never trade anybody at their lowest value.
Right.
You're not going to get it much for him. I know people see that and they know there's potential there, and that's the popular guy. He may be an odd man out here, but man, listen, there's some huge pressure on Lucas Reichel. He thought he had pressure last year. There was no pressure on him last year.
No, Bedard was there to take everything away from him. And that's why the fact that he didn't do well.
But I'm saying there was no pressure on him last year because there was no one to take his spot.
Oh, true.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, okay.
There was pressure for him to perform, but there was he knew that he can have a very long leash and still play, which is exactly, he had the longest leash of a young player here in a long time.
Yeah.
That's gone now. There are plenty of people here to take his place if he doesn't perform. So that's what I meant with the pressure. Yeah, there was pressure for him to perform.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to lose a spot. It took, especially in January and February when everybody was hurt, it took to March before they were like, okay, we've seen enough. This year, if he struggles out of the gate, he's not playing. There's guys to replace him.
And I don't know if if the message is received or not, with the fact that, hey, we sent you to Rockford last year, and we're bringing guys in that could potentially be taking your spots away. I hope he's seeing that. And look, I like Lucas Reichel. I've seen things from him that tell me this is going to be a pretty decent NHL player. The way he finished, not last season, but the year before, was like, all right, he's here. Lucas Reichel has arrived. He was doing it on a less talented team. Mm-hmm. As one of the few offensive options the team had, and he was producing. And then last year, nothing. Absolutely nothing until the very end of the year. It's. I hope this is the year he figures it out. And look, you saw with Alexis Lafreniere, it takes time, even for number 1 overall picks, to find their full game, their full potential. We talked about it the other day. Shane Wright has played, 12 NHL games or 16 NHL games, whatever it is, after being what a lot of people thought was going to be number 1 overall for 2 years in a row. Like, it takes guys time to find their game. Yeah. Lucas Reichel was a middle of the first-round pick, so we got to give him some time, but the clock is ticking. Oh, he only got a 1-year deal, so that tells you what the Blackhawks think. Yeah, prove it.
This is your year.
Yep.
If not this year, it's not happening here because there's a lot of guys coming up, and there'll be even more here next year. So we'll see how that plays out. That will definitely be a storyline in training camp and early season. Something we definitely need to. We'll be keeping close attention to.
Deadly Ricardo 67 says, has Tyler Johnson signed with anyone yet? No word on Tyler Johnson. He feels like a kind of guy who's going to be a plan C, plan D for teams.
We didn't get this guy. Let's see what Tyler Johnson wants. I still think Tyler Johnson is a valuable player. He kind of phoned it in at times last season, and he kind of let us know exactly how he felt at the end of the year. But you put him on a competitive team. That's a guy coming from, Stanley Cup championships and all that stuff.
It was a 2-year deal for Reichel, by the way.
Oh, 2 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, Young Dangle God says Reichel for Line. That's not going to – no. That would be great, but it's not going to happen. They're not –
You can put Reichel in the package.
Sure.
But – I don't think, no.
I'm not, and I'm also not. I'm not ready to move on from Lucas Reichel.
No, you shouldn't be. Nobody should be. No. He's 21.
Right.
He's 21. Look at Alec. You mentioned Alex Lafreniere, who's never going to be worth the number 1 overall pick, but he had a really good year this year. A lot of that had to do with playing with better talents. Funny how that works.
It does help.
But yeah, we'll I'm not giving up on Lucas Reichel at this point. And if now you have more talent around him. They put 2 years, not 1 year, into him, but he's got to prove it. He's got to prove it.
Yeah.
Holly is asking what happens with Entwistle now. I do believe he is. I think his time with the Blackhawks is over.
He's with his family now.
He's not dead.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll find an NHL deal.
He'll be around. He does bring something to an NHL roster. He's got size. He plays that energy. If not, he's definitely going to get a two-way deal somewhere.
You would think so.
So we'll see what happens with him. I'm a big Mackenzie Entwistle fan. Great guy. We've had him on the show. We've been able to joke about him. We had our running bit, so we're going to have to probably
We have to kill someone else's parents.
quick. Quick, who are Pat Maroon's parents? Let's no, but like
Maybe someone's uncle.
yeah. Oh boy.
Another signing here, Dmitry Kulikov signs 4 years with the Panthers. Michael Amadio, a 3-year deal with Ottawa.
Who was that?
Michael Amadio.
Oh, okay.
That's because we ate at an Italian place on Saturday.
And Yakov Trenin, 4 years, $14 million with the Wild.
Ooh,
That's a lot of money.
a lot of money for Yakov Smirnov. I mean Trennan. Okay, good for him. There's a team that got worse this offseason, Minnesota.
100%.
What have they done
I
besides
don't
Yakov
know.
Trenin?
That's it. That's all
Yakov
they've done.
Trenin is like your quintessential Minnesota Wild.
Yes, 100%.
Mid as hell.
Oh, good point here by
Yakov Trennin's had to play for Nashville and Minnesota.
Oof.
That doesn't tell you that the league thinks you're mid. Nothing will.
yeah, pre-Stamkos Nashville, by the way.
Right.
Mark W. with a good point. Tarasenko's still out there. I would not think he's coming to the Hawks.
I wouldn't be mad.
Again,
at
if it's another center, I think if it's another forward, it's going to be a center in my mind.
Yeah, Tarasenko was a guy I thought was a realistic target for the Hawks. Maybe if Teuvo didn't want to do it, Tarasenko would be a guy you circle back to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this hockey team is better than it was the last time we saw it on the ice.
100%.
Vastly improved. Not ready to declare them a playoff team, not ready to declare them the rebuild over, but it is going to be a better season. It's going to be better for us watching it every night. It's going to be better for the fans, more to be excited about. We're going to see a more competitive team. We're going to see more wins. We're not going to see a team that, goes up 1-0 in the first 4 minutes of the game and then loses 5-1. Might only be 3-1 this year.
Yeah, there you go.
But there's
3-2.
There's more options here. There's better, and the broadcast team will be improved with Rick Ball and Darren Pang. We'll have Rick Ball in studio at 2:30 tomorrow. And I don't think they're done yet. They're done free agency wise.
Maybe.
But with 15 forwards,
Something's got to give.
I think there's going to be. But granted, you have Taylor Hall, who you can't trust. You have Andreas Athanasiou, who can't trust. So maybe some of these guys are like, hey, you're my insurance policy, so I don't have to pick up Remington Pitlick off of waivers.
Yeah.
To fill an NHL roster. But
all right,
we'll see.
We're going to wrap up the show soon. Let's get to these super chats before we do. Got a bunch in here. Our buddy Young Dangle God dropping in again. 99 cents.
Thank you, Young Dangle.
See, that's my biggest problem with the only 1 year of Patrick Kane in Detroit. Why
We got to do it again.
Yeah, we got to do this shit all over again next summer.
Yep. Dangle God says, just don't sign too many
sucks.
people for more than 1 year. Need room to sign Kaner next year after his Detroit deal runs out. Thank you for that, as always.
Love
we'll
the
continue
bit.
to keep sending us your money.
I can't wait for that bit to go.
Brian Lowe with the $2 super chat says, like Spike, that really worked when we did it last time, so let's do it again. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do us a favor.
Yes.
Smash that like button for us.
Over 450 likes right
2,
now.
1. Like Spike in honor of our fallen comrades, DJ Bean and Pete Blackburn. And we have one more nice chat from Dan, who says, I want to say thank you for the first round draft coverage. You guys accompanied me to Kalamazoo to watch my sister graduate from Western Michigan. for that 2-hour drive. You helped me out. Awesome.
All right.
We're happy to do that.
So congratulations to your sister.
Yeah, that's great.
Former Bronco.
There you go. And so just to recap, here's what we got so far. Hopefully when we're on at 2:30 tomorrow, we'll have more to talk about. If something major happens, we can jump on and do an emergency podcast, but only for something major. Tyler Bertuzzi, 4 years, $5.5 million. Teuvo Teravainen, 3 years, $5.4 million. Alec Martinez, 1 year, $4 million. Pat Maroon, 1 year, $1.3 million. Craig Smith, 1 year, $1 million. Laurent Brossoit, 2 years, $3.3 million. There is your Blackhawks day so far. That is how free agency has begun. It started literally an hour ago, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new players on the team. So all players of value, all players that make this team significantly better. So next year, games will be a lot less painful. And aside from bringing in the talent they brought in, a crap ton of character. A ton of character brought into this lineup. So excited for the season to begin. Reminder again, tomorrow, Rick Ball, 2:30 p.m., and we'll wrap up everything that happened today in free agency with the Hawks and the rest of the league on tomorrow's show. We'll talk to you then on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.